Welcome to the second in the series, A Year in a Day in a Life, where we look at Anton Bruckner's life on a month-by-month basis as part of a sort of a year-long celebration that leads up to his 200th anniversary in 2024. So the month of September is rather a productive month in various years for Bruckner. So on the 9th of September in 1868, you have the completion of his third Mass, which was also commenced on the 14th of September in 1867, so almost a year, less a few days, that the Mass number 3 was originally written. On the 11th of September in 1872 was the completion of Symphony No. 2. On the 12th of September in 1869 was the completion of the Symphony in D minor, the nullified symphony. And we also have the first performance of his Missa Solemnis on the 14th of September in 1854, and on the 15th, the first performance of the Requiem in D minor in 1849. The work I wish to sort of concentrate and discuss is the Symphony No. 6. It has been known by various nicknames, and it was a symphony that record companies and orchestras seem to have a reluctance towards, but because it's one of the shorter symphonies at around 53 to 55 minutes, in recent years it's become one of the more popular symphonies to record and perform. And it is a beautiful, inspirational symphony. If you look at Bruckner's life in the years leading up to writing this Sixth Symphony, he'd been through the humiliating, disastrous first performance of his Third Symphony in Vienna that so rocked him that he didn't compose anything for 6 months after that. The 1870s were a prolific time for symphonic writing for Bruckner, basically turning out a symphony a year. 1872 saw Symphony No. 2, 1873 saw Symphony No. 3, 1874 saw Symphony No. 4, excuse me, and then 1875 to 1876 saw the Symphony No. 5. But of course, there then followed a period of revision as Bruckner was refining his voice, symphonically speaking, to suit a public that was not quite ready for Bruckner. He was very much writing for the future. But Symphony No. 6, I like the nickname that has been applied to it, the philosopher. It almost encapsulates what Bruckner must have gone through, in that he's come to this resolution that he's come this far and he must keep going. This message for humanity is so important that against all odds he must keep going with this. And of course, the following symphony, Symphony No. 7, he does finally get public recognition. But Symphony No. 6 is fascinating, when I spoke about the chakra system, where Symphony No. 6 is basically at the top. It is the crown chakra. It is in A major. So this is almost like the divine side of Bruckner that is coming through as the artist because a lesser character probably would have given up psychologically, would have just thrown the towel in and maybe gone back into teaching rather than composing. But Bruckner saw things through, and the most amazing thing about this Symphony Number 6, there is not one hint of these hardships and these problems and lack of recognition, not being understood. There's no sign of it in the music. It has that beautiful Bruckner pulse. If you listen to these strings, how the symphony starts, they're very long passages. Apparently, string players don't like playing Bruckner symphonies because they are physically exhausting. And this particular symphony, although it is one of the shorter ones, has a lot of repeated, what is known as the Bruckner pulse, the duplets and triplets, over and over and over for very long passages in terms of linear time for a musician to play. I would also draw your attention to the playlist. Call this your homework, if you will, your night school homework. Look in the Symphonic Analysis section and you'll find Symphony number 6 discussed by Stephen Johnson. It's a BBC recording and it compares Beethoven's Symphony number 3 and, if I remember rightly, how Bruckner's Symphony number 3 differs in it's a much more defined ending than the way Symphony number 6 ends. And you can also find, I think his name is Richard Atkinson, Bruckner's Inversion, which focuses on the Symphony number 6. And of course, within the playlists, under many of the conductor names, you can hear various recordings by different conductors of this Symphony number 6. So I hope this presentation has been enjoyable for you, and I hope it will inspire you to have a listen to this shorter symphony of Bruckner at this pivotal moment in his artistic and composing life. It's to me, it's an inspiration as much as anything else to, when things seem to be going against you, that put yourself in Bruckner's shoes and imagine how difficult and how problematic his life was, particularly when you're up against a very influential Viennese music critic called Edward Hanslick, who has taken a total dislike to anything you're going to create purely because you have dedicated a symphony to Richard Wagner. And that has sort of condemned you to put up with this hardship. But this is a thing in life. You have an external world that is one that reflects the internal world. So whereas we look at Bruckner, the man who is very set in his ways, even with the symphonies, once he's got a blueprint through Beethoven with the structure of a symphony, that he sticks to it. And you'll find this pattern repeats in Bruckner's life. So is it any wonder that he came up with this enormous obstacle that seemed to be thwarting his every move and blocking his every move? But in the end, Hanslick becomes a lone voice in the wilderness, and Bruckner does triumph through sheer determination, and that is, I feel, the big thing to take from this particular artist's life in what he shows, and how he can inspire all of us to see things through to the end. Don't be half-hearted, and persevere, and you will get there. That's the message that I take from this particular symphony, and from Bruckner's life in total. I find he is an inspiration. So, sorry this has gone on rather long, but I feel there was that extra bit. I needed to give you my personal perspective on this particular symphony. So I shall put a few links in the description, or actually, don't just look at the playlists, and you'll find everything that I've mentioned.